Man, I tell you, it's a good time to talk about it because I'm coming off of one of my worst bass finishes ever. You know, and 180 guys, I think I ended up 140th. And it's a very humbling sport. You know, it's the kind of sport where you can never know enough about it. The minute you think you know everything, you don't. And I love that about it, but it really does speak volumes to why the mental aspect of bass fishing is more important than anything. You know, I talk to people all the time, especially aspiring guys, you know, young kids, about, you know, what to do. And you know, there's obvious things like learning patterns and learning different baits and the mechanics, your casting and all that stuff. But after a couple years, you max out there, you know? Your casting is maxed out. The way you present a bait, you've mastered it. And that stuff gets to a certain level and it peaks. But the one that's harder to explain to people is the mental side. And it's such a broad category. And that encompasses so many different things mentally when it comes to fishing. You know, the big one is decision making, which in a tournament scenario is probably the most critical element that you could have. You could have the best 10 spots on a lake in any given tournament, and if your decision process on where to start, where to go to next, where to end, if that's wrong, then you do really bad in the tournament. So, you know, the decisions on when to stay and when to go, trusting your gut feeling, real important. The other thing in the mental side of the sport is trusting your instinct, trusting your gut, and doing something that I call fishing the moment. And I know a lot of people have heard me talk about that before, fishing the moment. And you know what that really means is it means letting go of your history, letting go of what happened a year ago or a month ago or yesterday, and fishing for that cast, that moment of time. You know, fishing a bass is a living creature, and it doesn't follow a playbook. It doesn't follow rules. And because of that, if you can fish off the cuff, you really excel as an angler. If you look at guys like Van Dam, Jason Christie, Edwin Evers, Aaron Martin, all these guys that are extremely well at fishing the moment, and that's so important on the mental side of fishing. And then the last thing I want to talk about in the mental side of fishing, it's something I've dealt with a lot in my career, is managing the highs and lows. And it happens a lot during the course of a day. We're talking about an 8-hour day, not even a year. We're talking about one 8-hour day. And you'll have a high of catching a big fish. And how do you manage that high? And you'll have a low of, you know, you got a big one on right to the boat and it comes off. And those moments can make or break your day mentally. And how you deal with that as an angler can really be important. So, you know, the big thing is, in other sports, it's mechanics, it's technique. In some of the sports, it's mechanics, technique, and equipment. In fishing, it's mechanics, it's equipment, but those things, everybody are at the same level. Where you can really excel is in the mind, is the mental side. So think about that next time you're fishing, and you'll become a better angler. And don't cast in a tree like that.